You are lying on hard dirt, not in a field, not outside, inside a wooden room with no windows. The floor is cold, even though your body is burning. Your stomach is swollen again. You stop counting how many times this has happened. You are 17 years old. You try not to think about the children you no longer have. Thinking hurts more than the hunger. The first one was a boy. They took him when he was 3 years old. You remember his hands holding your dress. You remember the sound he made when they pulled him away. You still hear that sound at night, even when the room is quiet. The second one was a girl. She was not even 2. She was sent far away, to a place you will never see. You never learned her name in any book. To them, she was not a child. She was a number. The third never opened her eyes. You were beaten while pregnant because you worked too slowly. They protected your belly, not you. Your child died anyway. Now there is another one coming, and you already know the truth. You will not keep this one either. You are not called a mother here. You are not called a woman. You are listed in a book with animals. Your name does not matter. Only one word matters: fertile. This is not a crime. This is not a secret punishment. This is legal. This is normal. This is America. The year is 1842. What is happening to you is not an accident. It is not rare. It is planned. Men in clean coats write it down in ledgers. They calculate your body like money. They count your children before they are even born. History books call slavery work. They talk about cotton. They talk about fields. They do not talk about this room. They do not talk about your body. They do not talk about the children taken from your arms. Tonight you will be used again, not because of desire, not because of love, because your body produces profit. And this is the story they never wanted you to hear. Stay with us till the end for valuable insights. Like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. The room where you live is not meant for living. It is meant for waiting, waiting to be called, waiting to be counted, waiting to give birth again. Outside, the plantation looks calm. Trees stand still. Birds move freely. From a distance, it almost looks peaceful. But peace does not live here. Inside these wooden walls, everything is measured by value. Your value is not your hands. It is not how fast you work. It is not even how quiet you suffer. Your value is your body. When America banned the import of enslaved people from Africa in 1808, many believed slavery would slowly die. Ships stopped coming. Chains across the ocean ended. Politicians celebrated. Newspapers called it progress. But slavery did not end. It adapted. The fields still needed workers. Cotton was spreading across the South. Landowners were getting rich. Cotton plants grew faster than people could be bought. So the men who owned everything made a decision. If they could not buy people, they would make them. Women like you became the answer. In places like Virginia and Maryland, enslavers stopped focusing on crops. Instead, they focused on birth. Your body became a factory. Your womb became a tool. Every child you carried meant future money. They called it natural increase. A soft phrase, clean phrase, but nothing about it was natural. Children were not born into families. They were born into balance sheets. From the moment you showed signs of health, men began watching you differently. Not with care, with calculation. They checked your teeth, your hips, your strength. They asked questions that had nothing to do with your life. Have you had children before? Did they survive? Did they grow strong? If the answers were yes, your value went up. You did not choose a partner. You were assigned one. Sometimes he was someone you knew. Sometimes he was a stranger. Sometimes he was twice your age. Love did not matter. Consent did not exist. Doors were locked. Orders were given. Silence was expected. This was not hidden. Everyone knew. Other enslaved people saw it. Overseers enforced it. Owners recorded it carefully in books. Names were often missing, but numbers were not. A woman who could give birth regularly was more valuable than a man who could work fast. That is how twisted the system became. When your belly began to grow, you were fed a little more. Not for you, for the child. You were protected from certain beatings, but not all. Your life mattered only as long as the pregnancy survived. If you worked too slowly, punishment came anyway. They learned how to hurt you without losing profit. They learned how to protect what they wanted and destroy what they didn't. And when the baby came, there was no celebration, no cradle, no future, just waiting. Waiting until the child was old enough to be sold. Some mothers tried to hold on. Some tried to run. Some tried to refuse. The price for refusal was pain. The price for running was worse. So most endured, not because they agreed, because survival sometimes looks like silence. By the time your child could walk, strangers might already be discussing their price. By the time they could speak, they could be taken. And when that day came, there was no warning. One moment your arms were full, the next, empty. This was not chaos. It was organized. Ledgers closed. Deals were made. And life went on, as if nothing had been stolen. But everything had been stolen. Your body, your children, your future. And this was only the beginning. When your child is born, no one asks what you want to call them. No one asks if you want to hold them longer. No one asks how you feel. A woman comes to take the baby. She checks the child's arms and legs. She looks into the baby's mouth. She listens to the cry. Not because she cares, but because she is checking quality. If the baby is strong, that is good. If the baby is quiet, that is better. If the baby survives the first year, that is profit. Your child does not belong to you. From the moment they breathe, they belong to the system. You may feed the baby. You may rock them at night. You may whisper to them when no one is watching. But you know the truth even if you never say it out loud. This child will be taken. That knowledge lives inside you every single day. On the plantation records, your baby is not listed with a name. Names are not important. Names suggest personhood. Names suggest humanity. Instead, there is a number, a birth date, a value. Sometimes there is a note written beside it. Healthy, strong, good increase. The word increase is used the same way a banker uses it. Like interest, like growth, like something that belongs to someone else. When traders come, they walk through the quarters slowly. They look at children the way farmers look at animals. They ask how old they are. They ask if they have been sick. They ask if they can walk yet. You stand nearby, pretending not to listen. Your heart beats too fast. Your hands shake. You learn quickly not to cry in front of them. Tears can lower value. Desperation can make them suspicious. You learn to keep your face empty. Some mothers try not to love their children. They believe it will hurt less when they are taken. Others love harder, faster, as if trying to store enough memory to last a lifetime. Neither choice saves you. When the day comes, it comes suddenly. There is no goodbye, no warning, no last night together. You may return from the fields and find the space beside you empty, the small blanket gone, the sound you listened for every night missing. You ask no questions because questions bring punishment. Other women understand. They do not need words. They sit beside you. They do not tell you it will be okay. They know better. Some children are sold close by. Most are not. Many are sent hundreds of miles away. Some are sent south, where the fields are hotter and the work is harder. Some are sent to places you have never heard of. You will never know where your child ends up. You will never know if they live. This is how families disappear without dying. Sisters are separated. Brothers are sold alone. Mothers are left with memories that fade slower than pain. Some children are so young they forget their mothers' faces. Some remember just enough for it to hurt forever. Years later, when freedom finally comes, many will search. They will place notices in newspapers. They will walk from town to town asking strangers if they recognize a name. Most searches will end in silence, because children without names are easy to lose, and the system was designed to make sure they stayed lost. Nothing about this happens in secret. That is the hardest truth. There are no hidden rooms, no whispered plans, no shame among the men who run it. Everything is written down. Books are kept carefully. Pages are clean. Numbers are neat. Men sit at desks and record lives with ink. They do not see blood when they write. They do not hear crying. They see profit. On breeding plantations, women are watched closely. Their bodies are observed like land during planting season. When a woman reaches a certain age, attention shifts. Not the kind that protects, the kind that measures. How old is she? How strong is she? Has she given birth before? Did the child survive? A woman who has already had healthy children is considered proven. Her value rises. She is no longer just labor. She is future money. Men are chosen for her, not husbands, breeders. Sometimes they are men from the same plantation. Sometimes they are brought in from somewhere else. They are chosen for size, for strength, for what they can produce. They are given more food, lighter work, not as a reward but as maintenance. They do not choose this role. They are forced into it. At night, doors are locked. Orders are given. What happens inside those cabins is not called violence by the people in charge. It is called management. The women fight when they can. They scratch. They bite. They resist with every part of their body. But resistance has consequences. Whips, isolation, hunger. Everyone knows what is happening. Other enslaved people know. Overseers know. Neighbors know. Local officials know. And no one stops it, because the law allows it. The law does not see these women as women. It sees them as property, and property has no right to refuse use. Some families kept records for generations. They tracked births the way farmers track calves. They listed children as increase. They calculated how much each woman produced over her lifetime. A woman who gave birth every year or two was considered successful. A woman whose body failed was considered broken. Broken property was sold or sent to harder labor. The cruelty was not emotional. It was practical. Pregnant women were sometimes protected from certain punishments, not because anyone cared about their pain, but because harming the pregnancy meant losing money. When punishment was unavoidable, methods were adjusted. They found ways to beat women without hurting the unborn child. Ways to cause pain without damaging profit. Think about that. A system that planned violence so carefully that it learned how to hurt a woman safely. Some women tried to stop pregnancies. They used plants, roots, teas passed down quietly from older women. It was dangerous, could kill them, but for some the risk was worth it. Some women went further. They ran. They hid. They made choices that history later called unthinkable. But inside this system, unthinkable choices were the only kind available. The men who designed this world went home at night. They ate dinner with their families. They attended church. They spoke about morality. They spoke about order. And then they returned to their ledgers. This is what makes it so terrifying. This was not madness. This was not chaos. This was normal. This was how things were done. And because it was normal, it lasted for decades. There is a moment every woman on a breeding plantation learns to fear. It is not the sound of the whip. It is not the shouting. It is the silence that comes before strangers arrive. You see men you do not recognize walking slowly. They wear clean clothes. Their shoes do not touch the dirt like yours. They speak softly, calmly, like this is just another day, because to them it is. You are told to stand, to lift your head, to open your mouth. Hands touch your face, your arms, your sides. They squeeze, they press, they examine you as if you cannot feel it, as if you are not standing right there. Someone asks questions about you, not to you, about you. How old is she? Has she had children? How many? Did they live? The answers decide your future. If you are young and proven, the price rises. If you have given birth many times, the price rises again. If your children were healthy, you are worth more. You stand there while men argue about your value. They talk about you like you are furniture, like you are not listening. You are not allowed to speak. The sale does not only take you, takes everything you know. You are sold away from your mother, away from your sisters, away from your children if you still have any left. Sometimes children are sold with their mothers. Most of the time they are not. A child old enough to survive without nursing is old enough to be sold alone. The moment of separation is fast. There is no time to beg, no time to hold on. Guards pull children away. Mothers scream. The sound cuts through the air, but it changes nothing. The buyers do not look back. You are marched away with others. Chains link wrists and ankles. The road is long. The heat is heavy. Some people collapse. Some never get up again. This movement of people has a name, though few speak it aloud. It is the Second Middle Passage. Hundreds of thousands are moved from the Upper South to the Deep South. From places like Virginia and Maryland to Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. Fields there are larger. The work is harsher. The chance of survival is smaller. You do not know where you are going. You do not know if you will ever see anyone you love again. At markets, you are placed on blocks. Buyers circle you. They touch you. They inspect you. They ask if you have tried to run. They ask if you are obedient. They ask if you can still bear children. Your body answers before you can. If you are bought by a breeding operation, the cycle starts again. New room, new men, new pregnancies, same loss. If you are sent to cotton fields, the work will break you. Many women die there. Others survive long enough to be sold again. This is how lives are spent. Not in one place, not with one family, but passed from hand to hand until nothing is left. By the time freedom comes, some women cannot even remember how many children they had. The numbers blur together. Faces fade. Names disappear. But the pain does not fade. It follows them into freedom. Freedom does not arrive with celebration for everyone. When the words finally come, when chains are removed and laws change, many women stand still. They do not know where to go. They do not know who they are without orders. And most of all, they do not know where their children are. Freedom opens the door, but it does not return what was taken. For years, women had learned not to ask questions. Now they begin asking them everywhere. On roads, in towns, in churches, in fields. They stop strangers and describe faces that are older now, changed by time. Have you seen a boy named Jacob? He would be grown now. He had a scar on his cheek. Have you heard of a woman named Mary? She was taken when she was nursing. She would be a mother herself by now. Most people shake their heads. Some listen quietly. Some turn away. Records are missing. Names were changed. Ages were guessed. Families were scattered across states. The past was designed to be unrecoverable. Newspapers begin printing small notices. They are not loud. They are not angry. They are careful, hopeful, desperate. I am searching for my daughter. I was sold from Virginia in 1852. My son was taken when he was 3. I have never stopped looking. These notices fill columns for years. They appear week after week. Some women save money just to place one small message, hoping the right person might read it. Most never get answers. Children who were sold young often remember nothing. Others remember pain but not names. Some were told lies about where they came from. Some were taught never to ask. Even when families find each other, time has done its damage. Mothers meet grown men they barely recognize. Sisters meet sisters who speak differently, think differently, carry different scars. Reunions, when they happen, are not simple happiness. They are heavy. They are full of grief for everything that was lost between the moments. And many women never find anyone. They live the rest of their lives with questions that have no answers. Where did my children go? Did they live? Did they think of me? The men who built fortunes from breeding operations face no punishment. Their land remains. Their names remain respected. Their records sit quietly in archives. The law moved on. Society moved on. But the women carried the weight forever. Some could not speak about what happened. The shame was placed on them even though it was never theirs. Silence became a way to survive. Others spoke years later to anyone who would listen. Their voices were calm. Their words were simple. But the pain beneath them was deep. They did not ask for revenge. They asked to be remembered. Because freedom without memory feels incomplete. Because a life erased once should not be erased again. History often ends stories too early. Tells you when laws change. Tells you when chains fall. Tells you when freedom is declared. But it rarely tells you what happens after. For the women who lived through the breeding farms, there was no clear ending. Slavery ended on paper, but the damage did not stop. It stayed inside bodies, inside memories, inside families that no longer existed. Many of these women grew old carrying a pain they could never fully explain. How do you explain losing a child when you never knew where they went? How do you explain loving someone you were never allowed to keep? How do you explain a life where birth meant loss every single time? Some women remembered every child clearly. Others could not. The mind protects itself when pain is too heavy. Faces blurred. Names faded. But emotions stayed sharp. The feeling of empty arms never left. These women were not written into history books. They did not have portraits painted. There are no statues of them in town squares. Their lives exist mostly in fragments, in ledgers, in bills of sale, in short interviews recorded decades later, when their voices were tired but steady. They were often described as strong. But strength is a dangerous word. Strength makes suffering seem acceptable. Strength makes endurance sound like a choice. These women were not strong because they wanted to be. They were strong because the system gave them no other option. Their children became the missing millions. By 1860, there were 4 million enslaved people in the United States. Only a small part of that number came directly from Africa. The rest were born here, born into a system that had already decided their future. Every one of those children had a mother who carried them, a mother who felt them move, a mother who knew, even before birth, that loss was coming. Those mothers were not allowed to protect, not allowed to decide, not allowed to keep. They were treated as production lines, as tools, as means to an end. And when their bodies were finally exhausted, when they could no longer give birth, many were sold again, sent to harder labor, left to die quietly, After slavery ended, the country moved forward. Railroads expanded. Cities grew. New stories were told about progress and freedom. But no one stopped to ask what justice looked like for these women. There were no trials, no apologies, no repairs. The men who designed and profited from breeding farms died in comfort. Their wealth passed down through generations. Their names stayed clean. The women they used left behind no graves with names. No markers explaining who they were or what they endured. Only echoes. Echoes in families who could never trace their roots. Echoes in stories passed down in whispers. Echoes in a wound that never fully healed. The breeding farms did not just produce labor. They produced absence. Gaps in family trees. Empty spaces where mothers, daughters, and sons should have been together. They produced ghosts. Ghosts of women who were never meant to be remembered. Ghosts of children who never knew where they came from. Ghosts of families broken so completely that even memory struggled to survive. But remembering changes something. It does not undo the past. It does not erase the pain. But it refuses to let silence win. These women were real. Their suffering was real. Their love was real. They were not inventory. They were not numbers. They were not increase. They were mothers, and they deserved to be seen.